in Canada, we can have these massive sector runs, and we're kind of seeing that right now when it comes to commodities. But as soon as that drops off, it's pretty slim pickings. And so we are forced really to then look south and focus on a lot of American growth stories and stuff like that. So how do you kind of balance that that kind of dichotomy that we as Canadian traders kind of live on a day-to-day basis?
Don't bet, never bet against America. The money is in America, right? The US stock market is absolutely where everything is. To further go on, what happened after PLI, CGC, ACB for me was Tesla and Apple. There was a couple other stocks like VFF in the cannabis space, which was also really good. But then it became Tesla and Apple. In 2017, when I decided to go full time, 2018, I ended up meeting a lot of traders online through various communities, online trading communities. And one of the common feedback was you should really be doing your own thing. You should really be teaching people and taking that time to educate people. And over time, I kind of started to listen, and I went on Instagram and I started to record my screen on Instagram, just my personal Instagram. I would grab my phone and I would just record my screen, and I was talking about what would happen in stocks. And then I didn't realize how many people that were following me, like from a personal friend level, would be so interested in this. A couple of days later, I started the business Instagram, which was just, it was called Rick's Trades at the time. And by the way, I got Rick's Trades because you were called Scott's Trades. And I said, well, Scott's Trades sounds pretty good. Let me go call it Rick's Trades. So then I did Rick's Trades. And then eventually we blew into YouTube, and then, changed it to Fit Traders. But while we were doing Fit Traders and our community was growing, it was a mainly cannabis pot stock focused community because that's where all the money was in Canada. But that died, and we saw it dying. We saw the run up to the legalization date, and then it capped off, like it blew off, and that was it. So while it was going down, I had to change my shift. I had to change my focus. We had to shift to what's opportunity that's out there. Well, guess what? Basically, mainly our community at the time was Canadian traders, because it was all mainly focused on the Canadian pot stock sector. I started shifting all my YouTube and all my analysis to US tech stocks. We started focusing on Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Nvidia, of course, Tesla, because there was no money left in that Canadian space. And with a little bit of a bankroll, you want to be able to play stuff that moves a lot and has liquidity. And that's where you want to get into the US stock market. So that's where my behavior completely shifted, and I've never shifted back. Now I have a Canadian account. I have a Canadian RESP account for my kids. So every now and then I'm trying to find some form of a Canadian stock that's really going to get hot. Last year was the Score, which was ended up being bought out by One Byte Pen, which exploded. So that was great. But right now I don't really have anything in the Canadian sector. We have some members in our room that are really focused on Canadian stocks. So every now and then they'll point out things, but mainly my focus is big tech. Obviously, what's happening in the US stock market, the big board, focusing. I don't focus on penny stocks. I just think it's too, everything's manipulated, but technicals are going to respond very well to the big board. You can play the option chain. That was another thing we gravitated and ended up shifting to, which was the option chain, to be able to play these big board names. But yeah, I do not, long story, long answer, is I don't spend too much time looking at the Canadian market.